in Joe Devlin's boat. Joe's been a fisherman in Lough Neagh for 43 years now. Joe, a lot of your fishing has been line fishing. Now, can you tell me something about the bait you use for putting on the hooks?
Well, we use mostly worm, and we use small perch, small pollen. But worm is a handy bait for what it's easier to get a hold of, and the times the other bait can be very hard to find.
So, when you put a worm on, do you put one worm on each hook?
Oh no, you maybe make 4 or 5 bits of the one worm, and according to the size of the worm too. Like if it's a big worm, you get a good few bits out of it.
Now, the bit you're talking about when you're talking about small perch and small pollen, what size would those be in terms of inches?
No, they won't be any more, but 1.5 inches long, roughly that. According to the time of the year too, you know, they get bigger as the year goes on.
And these bits are live bait. They have to be kept alive to attract the eel, is that right?
Well, not altogether live, just live for to get them on, for to keep them fresh. Otherwise they're too small to live, and they die have to go on the hook, you know.
So that means each day when you want to set your line with maybe 1,200, maybe up to 2,000 hooks, you have to get that many small fish. You have to catch those. Can you tell me something about catching them?
Well, we usually catch them now with a small trawl net, and used to be just a draft net. We still would use that draft net on occasions, but mostly a small trawl net along the shore.
Does it take long to catch these fish?
Well, these days you could catch them in an hour. Other days maybe take you 3 or 4 hours. All depends on the weather.
Now, tell me something about actually setting a line. Many men does it take to set the line, and you know, can you just explain to me how you do it?
When you just start out by throwing out a marker and taking a mark on the land, like if we have our own special way of doing that, and the two men just start out with one man. If it's you're cutting bits, that's small pollen, you cut, one man cuts another man bits, and if it's small perch, the 2 men bit. And that mark could go back to that mark the next day, and this, except in a fog, we have no problem getting this. That's the next morning for we're going to lift, but there's no problem getting it, you know.
Mm-hmm. So, when you're setting a line, you're telling me this earlier, you have the line sitting here in the stern of the boat where we're sitting now, and a man on each side, is that right?
That's right, yeah.
And the boat is moving forward slowly?
Yeah. And just every line you tie on, every line individually, and you have a mark on the end of it that you know it's at the end of 400 hooks, and you disconnect there and pick up another box for the next one.
How long does it take setting the line? Say you're talking about, say, 1,600 hooks.
Roughly an hour and a half. It's according to what type of bait too. Like if the 2 men's baiting, roughly an hour and a half. If one man's baiting, one man cutting, it'll take that a bit longer. And
you usually do this in the afternoon and leave the line overnight?
Set roughly there any time from, well, 4 o'clock on, like, and you leave it the next morning, rise about 5 o'clock the next morning. And then you bring them in again to the land, and you run them, make them ready for the next time. And you put them into the lough, and as we call it, steeping. You soak them overnight, and we have 2 saddle lines, and that always leaves one ready for the next day, you know.
Do you find, Joe, the fishing a line, the long line, do you find it hard work? How would you describe it?
Well, it's tedious work. It's long hours. You raise at 5. You may be in again at 9 or 10, according to how you get on. Like, without any problems, you may get in maybe around 8:30. But if it's problems, you may be at 10 o'clock some days. Then it takes roughly 4 hours to make it ready for the next time.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go and draw your bits. Start the same procedure all over again.
it's really a cycle. Now, I would imagine that lifting the line where you're hauling it up from the floor of the lough and seeing the fish on it must be an exciting part if you're getting
a
lot of eels.
Oh, if you're getting a lot of eels, exciting, but there's times very disappointing when there's no eels. This season in particular, like, has been very cold, and the eels is very, well, they're very patchy. Maybe you get a few eels run after other, and you could lift maybe 100 hooks before you get another one. It's just one of those years that the weather has played its part, like, it made havoc on the fishing, like, for it being so cold.
So, if you're lifting your line, you know, you're telling us there about taking the marks and so on from landmarks so that you can find your buoy. Is there not a difficulty if you run across someone else's line?
Well, they usually have different marks, you know, different colours of lines, something maybe tied on the stone that's on the line for the anchor. Everybody has their different marks, and there's times it can be a headache even at that for the eels lap around other, and it can be a headache. But with the years of experience, we get around. It can be tricky.